everyone. Very warm welcome to Masterclass 3 on data protection laws, which are focusing on personal data. So in today's Masterclass, we are going to discuss what are the challenges of data privacy laws and mostly whether it's going to be nationally or internationally, the challenges remain the same. So let's start. I think that the very first challenge, at least in developing countries where data privacy is a slightly new concept, the challenge is how to build a privacy culture. For example, if the information is going to be on a need-to-know basis and you will only collect limited data, then there are going to be a lot of issues at the organization level. For example, if you tell a few of your employees that certain data that they have been used to getting for many days, many years, will now no more be shared with them because of data privacy laws, more often than not, it will be very hard to digest because data is an emotional topic for human beings because it associates itself with the concept of trust. So when you tell someone that there's some data that you're used to looking at or having in your inbox, and now you will no more have that data, I think there will be a question that will occur in every mind, which is, do you not trust me anymore? And to sort of counter this negative emotion in your employees, it is very important to create data privacy law awareness and explain to them very clearly as to why you are restricting access to that data from those employees, and not once, at least 7, 8, 9, or 10 times, because it is then that it starts becoming a reality to them. Because while as lawyers and as IT professionals, we are dealing in the concept of personal data protection for a few months or a few years, it is sort of discussed with the employees only at the last leg. And that's why it comes as a shock. And so my advice here will be that partner with your employees even during the process when you're trying to learn how to implement data privacy laws, because then once they become a part of the process, it doesn't come as a shock. They learn about it with you, and hence you're able to build a privacy culture which is a positive culture in the organization and doesn't disrupt any operations or inculcate any negative feelings amongst the employees. The second very critical issue, which is not only in, which doesn't only relate to developing countries, but is an omnibus issue, is that of complying with multi-jurisdictional privacy laws. For example, there's a website in India that sells clothes, but that website is accessible pretty much to anyone and everyone around the globe. Now, when anyone from Turkey or anyone from Europe, anyone from America, they log into your website, they give you some personal data before they buy that piece of clothing from your website, right? That's sharing of their personal data with you. Now, they are citizens of Europe and Turkey and America, etc. So when you collect data of citizens of another country, you will have to comply with the laws of that nation as well. It's so difficult sometimes to even be completely compliant with one nation's laws. And the solution to this is going to sort of come up by, I think a lot of organizations will start putting together a standard checklist. They have already started putting together a standard checklist where they will say these 20 things are common amongst all the data privacy laws. However, there is this nuance in Brazilian law, this nuance in Indian law. It's a lot of compliance that will go into building a compliant data privacy business. It's important to have good attorneys and good IT professionals in your system who will keep tracking the developments in the law and technology and ensuring that you're compliant with all the national laws that are around the globe that pertain to the concept of personal data protection. And now that leads us to the next issue, which is cost of compliance. How expensive it is already to sort of comply with the data privacy laws of one nation. There is so many filings that you have to do. There is an audit that you have to conduct under various laws. There is data trust score that you have to ensure that you're technical with the laws of that nation. And now when different nations have different laws, you have to ensure that your technology complies with all the different laws. And that adds cost. Now, imagine the cost of compliance with one data privacy law. You have to ensure that the audits are being done in time. If there is a licensing requirement or submission of your data privacy policies, etc., that has to be managed. Along with that, you have to ensure that all the principles that are found in a nation's law for data privacy are incorporated in the technology that you are building. Now, multiply it in the 100 jurisdictions that your business is accessible. You can imagine the cost is so huge. And, for that, you will need to have your privacy lawyers in place, your coders in place, engineers in place, computer engineers, etc. So you need a lot of talent to ensure that you're compliant with the 100 laws in which your business is present. It can really bring your business cost really high. So if you do not factor this cost right at the beginning, when you're building your business plan to build your product, and you do not account for this cost, you will find that this cost is prohibitive to your business. So it is really necessary to do a cost analysis of the amount that you will spend in complying with the data privacy laws of different nations, and ensure that then your business model works or doesn't work, right? And only then should you embark on the journey of developing your product and making it accessible in different parts of the world, which ties in with the next issue, which is how do you source this talent? Because data privacy professionals are hardly a handful in India, at least. Of course, there might be a little more in Europe because the law is older. So, people have started training themselves in data privacy. However, for most of the nations, it's a very new concept. People are not aware. Even if they are aware, they don't know how to find talent which is trained in advising on data privacy. And there's a dearth of training programs for data privacy professionals. Even if one thinks that I will train in data privacy, where do you go and train yourself? And then, it's a new profession. So people are like, whether it'll pick up or not pick up, should I really train to be a data professional? What will be my future, etc. So that's the reason why there is a dearth of talent in the market. So companies that are coming up with products or existing companies that will now have to start complying with data privacy are finding it difficult to get talent in the market to advise them as to how they can be fully compliant with data privacy. Only solution for this is, again, to create awareness about the concept of data privacy, which as counsels we all have. Like this master class itself is one attempt to create awareness about the concept of personal data protection, so that anyone who's listening is aware of this concept and can think about solutions which probably even trained people and other people like me, have not thought about, because it all requires teamwork. And many times something that I can't think of, you can think of, and that's how we make better solutions for the problems that we are faced with. So unless there is awareness, there will be always a shortfall of talent. And I think the last and very, very important issue that will be faced, or that probably is still faced in the data protection regime, is the jurisdiction. as to how to resolve the disputes. Business is based in India, the client is based in Singapore, and probably the technology has been borrowed by a French company. Multiple jurisdictions are collapsing together to form a business. And when there is a dispute, which nation do you go to? And even if you get a decree from a particular nation against a person who resides in another nation, how do you enforce that judgment? Because that will then depend on the laws of the nation against the citizen of which you've got a decree. Even if you do get a decree, to enforce it in the nation against the citizen of which you've got the decree is another whole procedure, right? Which is enforcement of a judicial decree. In India, you may be aware that only a few nations are there in the reciprocating jurisdiction nations list. I think 9 or 10. I think Dubai was the latest entrant in 2020. All the other nations, if you get a decree from there against an Indian citizen or an Indian person, an Indian resident, then you have to again go to the court and prove your case all over again. So in societies where litigations are delayed, it's a really tough process. So yes, we are faced with several issues when you look at data privacy laws, and the only way to solve them is to talk about them, to apply our minds, think of creative solutions, and leveraging each other's network to make our thought reach the right person. It will create a positive change. I think with this, I'll say adios. See you guys soon. Take care. Have a safe day.